Najin, and Rumble, Twitch, and Kassadin is banned out by CJ Frost. Is there anything that jumps out at you?
One thing that's a little bit bizarre is, I guess, CJ banning Kassadin. Now, Nanye doesn't have any history on Kassadin. There's no way to know if it's potent or not. And technically, if they think Nanye can't play it very well, they could manipulate that, force them into a Kassadin pick, and then go with like a Zed pick, a Yasuo pick. Something that can just go at Kassadin. And then if Nanye isn't comfortable on it, they have to take it away from Coco. Because you can't let Coco have that unless you want to build a team not around that. And then Coco can delay picking it.
We see the Soraka locked in.
The Soraka is locked in, and with Jax and Shyvana being down, these are two champions that they can kill Shyvana. Soraka, I'm sorry. They can go hard at her. And what is beneficial to blue side Soraka is if she does face a lane that can reciprocate damage against her, she can easily just elect not to star call. She can play the lane much slower, freeze it in front of the tower, and then create a very annoying, play style to it. Alternatively, with blue side Soraka against purple side jungler and purple side top, is you can shove the lane extremely fast, go home, buy 3 wards, get back, shove it fast, and deep ward the enemy jungler, and say, my mid's safe, I'm safe, my jungler knows where you are, you come into the red side jungle, my bot lane's going to be safe. So, if it's going to be top lane Soraka. Now, we see here, Lucian and Lulu responded. Will Lulu be going mid? Now, I don't think Lulu's going to go mid here, but it might. The Lucian pick being picked simply because, why? Twitch is gone. And these are undoubtedly the 2 best AD carries currently in the meta.
You probably won't see Master Yi tonight, although he's been hovering on the screen a few times. But
probably not. Cowsep is sad right now. He's a sad cow.
Right, and so many Master Yi fans. I mean, there was a rumor, even in the Korean leaks and early, that Master Yi is actually a Korean champion. Because, they thought it was Master Lee of some sort, but later they found out it was Yi, and to much of our disappointment. Evelyn is locked in, and Nagne taking the LeBlanc.
Okay. So here, now, you notice that there's a lot of AP coming out of blue side for Najin. And that's, again, why? You have Soraka. Now, she can W onto LeBlanc when LeBlanc W's in. She can give LeBlanc a little bit of base armor, temporarily, through that little spike. She can do it for Evelyn when Evelyn goes in. Evelyn's already tanky. So this also enables Evelyn to also build a little bit differently. And then the magic debuffs coming in from Soraka, it helps. You can't just build, a Negatron cloak and be safe mid-game, because they're running 3 APs. And here we have Varus, and Varus is coming in because of the Soraka pick. Oh, never mind. Now we have a Rise being highlighted. So, okay, this is a little interesting. Now, will it be a mid-rise or... Oh, Mundo. Mundo's relatively good. Soraka doesn't really have kill potential on him, ever.
Also, are they trying to take Mundo away because Mundo's survivability paired up with Soraka's heal? That's just scary.
That is very scary. And the top laner's been selected. Unless Soraka was going to go support, but I'm not really thinking that's going to be the case. But picking Mundo into this, now, what do you notice about their comp right now? They have Lulu's ultimate on Mundo. It's going to give him a lot of HP. Okay, no matter if Lulu's mid-AP or support AP. And then outside of that, the MR debuffs on Mundo, it's not really totally going to matter against periodic damage from Evelyn and Soraka. Yeah, it's going to hurt, but Mundo is kind of going to be like, yeah, Mundo, let me press R once. And then also by picking Mundo, you force one of their champions into an Ignite pick, but you also potentially force a Merlinomicons out of Soraka if Soraka is lane. Or you can force it out of LeBlanc. So they're attacking their builds right now with the Mundo pick. Not just the overall comp, they're striking at Najin's builds.
And we see Nami, is that Mad Life's Blitzcrank, the crowd is excited. So is the Nami pick, are they going to go with the full-on heal meta?
It looks like they are going to elect to run 2 heals. With the Nami heal coming in, that's going to be a little bit scary. Now, Kayn, how good is his Nami? Now, it is picked with Caitlyn, so there is some synergy. You hit the Aqua Prison, you land the trap right underneath it. That's a lot of, that's a lot of chain stun. But what are you noticing about the Najin comp? Is it's extremely pick-based. So because it's pick-based, and they've already committed to 3 of, their 4, and then Caitlyn's elected to be picked for Prey, you need a champion that both has an engage and a disengage. which Nami's ultimate provides.
So with Nami's pick, it sort of satisfies two objectives, both of the objectives that Najin has.
Right.
Morgana's support, I think it's going to be locked in. We've seen Pumandu use this often, but I think it's the first time I've seen Mad Life use it.
I believe it is the first time Mad Life has used it, and also similar to Kane, first time on Nami. Is he going to live up to Pumandu standards of Korean Nami?
Right.
And
the
Morgana pick with the Black Shield, that's going to give a big no-no to LeBlanc trying 100-0 someone. So that's basically them saying, no, we have Lulu and we have Morgana. You're not going to get your pick.
Right.
You know, and the added shields from Lulu and Morgana, it's going to help to counteract Soraka. And now here we are again. We have two Ignites coming in, LeBlanc and Nami. So their summoners are being attacked, their items are being attacked, and I'm gonna have to give this to CJ. They simply outpicked Najin. Najin, they gave away their hand too early. Picking Soraka, Evelyn, LeBlanc that fast? Why? It doesn't make any sense. Coco doesn't want LeBlanc.
No. Also, given that they opted to go with the Caitlyn, I mean, which is a pretty standard pick, they could have picked that composition, the Caitlyn-Nami composition, without giving much away, right? Right.
And then on top of that, Swift is known as an adept Lee Sin in Korea. Why would you pick Evelyn into Lee Sin? Not only can he outmaneuver you in the jungle, he can counter jungle you, you know, depending on the runes and masteries that both of them are speccing. And then on top of that, it is a purple side Lee Sin against a blue side Evelyn. So, while Evelyn does have gank potential from lane on blue side, and she has wraparound gank potential, Lee Sin has a lot of potent. And this comp is very all in. This is do or die. Right now, this is do or die for Najin, and this is an extremely unorthodox comp, not something you'd see in the meta. They're relying on Soraka's W boost to the armor values, Evelyn building tanky, getting a little bit more tankiness out of it, and Evelyn being able to run in, the engage/disengage, both coming out of Nami. So it is nice picks. I don't agree with how they picked it.
So a gamble from Najin, knowing that they're going to fall irrecoverably behind if they give up this set. Let's see how this plays out. We see Coco hovering in the mid. One thing to note here is that Nami opted for the gold item, whereas Mad Life went with full wards.
Right, and I think this is coming down to comfort. CJ knows that this comp is all in. And if you can get the wards down deep in Evelyn's jungle, if she turns on her W, she clears a camp, she's trying to run around before her passive comes back up again. You can spot her, you can outplay her that way. And we saw that, you know, in past patches, past seasons, the way to outplay Evelyn, you know, when pink wards got changed, it was not to buy pink wards, it was to buy green wards, deep ward her jungle in obscure spots, and then figure out where she's coming in from. So the warding out of Mad Life is correct, because it's going to give them more control in the earlier stages. We have that pink ward going down, they clear a ward, so they get some, you know, gold back, refund.
Right. And 4 people attacking the blue
100 gold lead, and now it's gone.
Right. So, did CJ know about... so, one team has opted for a lane swap, but it didn't seem to go down. What happened there?
So Najin and Prey want to go for this lane swap because Soraka, if you know how to do it, she can CS under tower. She does have innate sustain. She is running heal instead of ignite because she didn't want to go up against Mundo without ignite. You're going to have no kill potential. You're going to go even. Mundo's going to scale stronger for the mid game. And Soraka's being used as an awkward positioning. She's not being used as... She's heavy utility right now. Heavy utility and tank transfer, basically. But it seems like they were matched in the line swap, so we're just gonna have a reverse play, and Soraka is shoving the lane, but now this is bottom blue side Soraka versus red side Mundo.
Seems to have
and this
Helios
is exactly what I was talking about.
And is Helios gonna go down? He flashes over the wall, but they chase him and they take first blood.
That's exactly what I was talking about the wards on Evelyn. You pick Lee Sin into it, she can't fight him there, and now what's gonna happen? You know, Evelyn's behind, you know, and Lee Sin can probably... This is Swift. He knows where Evelyn's standing right now. He knows what way she has to go. Look at how the lanes are. Lee Sin can just mind read this now for the next few minutes. So, huge advantage already for CJ, and that's not something you want to have happen when you're running a mistake there by Kane.
Right, taking in too much tower damage perhaps, and also in a 2v2 lane, that's ought to hurt.
Yep. Little uncharacteristic there. Maybe Nerves again coming into play.
LeBlanc pushing the CS into the mid tower, but it seems like Coco is going to be able to salvage all of that right. And Lulu seems to be comfortable. The matchup, perhaps, between Lulu and LeBlanc might be a puzzling one to see. It's hard to really tell who has the dominance.
It's a relatively even matchup in some regards. It definitely does come down to skill. Lulu, while she is a little bit behind in CS, and LeBlanc technically does have some poke potential earlier on, especially with the silence and the range on Lulu or whatever. It's okay, but Lulu does have that assist here, and they're both opening Doran's rings because they are combat stats. This is a lane where combat can take place. It's not a babysit.
Right.
But Shy with that double buff.
Right. He's a level down on Soraka, but he seems to be able to actually deny the CS, catching up to the lead. Now there are virtually no CS difference. Mundo with the double buff, given his poke potential, it must be pretty scary.
Well, yeah, the cooldown. Now, it would be interesting to know what kind of rune Shy is running on Mundo, but he could technically, in some ways, have 20% CDR right now, and that's really scary for his Q. And here we have Swift coming in, just pressuring.
Continuously harassing. He does taking some damage.
Now, Soraka doesn't have Ignite.
Right.
Now, if Soraka has Ignite there, Flash Silence Ignite, get the kill, turn it around on Mundo, stutter step in through your minions, interrupt unit collision, you can get out safely. Soraka would get a kill. Lee Sin knows Soraka doesn't have kill potential right now. Just comes in, applies a little pressure, relieves some pressure off Shy, because we see Soraka is outlaning him. And we see the double Doran's ring, on Soraka. And that's mostly just in part because of the passive Doran's ring, the mono region, and she is a little bit behind because Shy got that early kill, the double buffs, whatever. So this is a way for her to keep up with spamming Q without having to build into like Chalice or something relatively fast. And another tower shot, another mistake.
Right. Najin seems to be slightly out of form, although the bot lane Caitlyn seems to have the CS advantage over Lucian, but that is not surprising since that is almost expected out of a Caitlyn pick to have an early CS lead.
Right. Now, one thing to note, again, is Prey is doing an extremely good job right now, leading over space by 15 CS.
Especially on this level.
Yeah. So we see the gold score is relatively even.
And the CS disadvantage that Lulu has over, behind LeBlanc. But Nagne goes down and Coco took in a little too much damage. Perhaps he would be forced to recall, given that nowadays he's in the danger zone facing against LeBlanc.
He is in the danger zone, but one thing that you have to consider is the mana pool of LeBlanc.
And now they try to execute a dive on Shy. Is he going to live? But they don't have the Ignite, and Mundo just presses R and too much damage. That's
what I was talking about. Without Ignite, without Morellonomicons, you're not going to get that. Not yet.
And
Swift responds,
and the QQing in barely survives.
Beautiful by Prey right there.
Right.
But the damage was done. That trade was much greater for CJ. It relieved a lot of pressure in top lane. The summoners are out. The summoners are out. That's the important thing to note. Now, Nami does still have Ignite, but Lucian has Heal. So Ignite isn't really possible on Lucian to some degree. But the pressure was relieved. So that was a better trade for CJ than it was Najin, even though ganks occurred in opposing lanes.
Also, that must be a huge relief for Space, given how badly he was being pressured. And we now see Mundo approaching the top lane. And he's going to be able to reach safely to the top tower without actually drawing much of the CS loss.
And this is beautiful. They recognize that Soraka has committed to Chalice, which is MR, right? Mundo's damage is magic based. Mundo cannot get the kill on Soraka, I'm so sorry. Especially with the heal, the ultimate, her heal from her W, heal from the ultimate, the armor value from Mundo's auto attacks. So now they do the line swap after the Chalice is committed, because now who has the advantage? Mundo can still continue to build. Still build fine. Spectral Call, yeah, it gives you MR, but the passive's nice still. Against Nami, Caitlyn, So this now benefits Lucian and Morgana. And it also takes away any sort of gank potential from bot lane. With Black Shield and Morgana's Prison, how is Evelynn going to close a gap? How is Soraka going to close a gap?
and Soraka seem to be chasing Mundo down. So Najin wants Prey and Kind to maintain their dominance that they're having against on Mad Life in space.
Right.
And the CS gap doesn't really seem to be widening.
The CS gap isn't widening, but we see Mundo is starting to pick up a slight edge, which he wasn't in the bot lane. He was constantly being shoved under tower and just a little bit awkward, and then the tower is taking damage, so there's a clock being put on. So right now, they'll probably continue to dance in the laning phase for maybe the next, minute or two, and then we'll probably see a Baron dance. We see pings going down now. Baron, clear that ward.
And they clear that pink ward, and Nagne and Lulu. Oh,
Dragon
but
dance.
the game is paused.
Game is paused.
Cut off so early in the game.
Correct.
So Najin actually. So how different? So is this a different circumstance from game 1 where Najin actually had the late game scaling that they could wait for, but now at this point that doesn't seem to be something worth waiting for. They don't seem to have the late game scale they had. Oh, and Mad Life lands the bind.
And that's what we just saw, that Nami does not want to have to use that there, and now Lee Sin's on the prowl. He knows that. Evelyn's in position at Wolves, LeBlanc situating some wards down because they know Lee Sin can probably be en route. Now they do have Evelyn at Wolves, and they get the ward down on the other side of Wolves, so they have, control over Lee Sin, but...
And Mad Life now has reached level 6, perhaps he can engage by using a flash ult maybe?
Right.
And not misses.
And that's what I was talking about.
Helios going in to harass Coco, but
not gonna happen.
Not gonna happen. And as we've said, and the teleport coming in from behind from Shy, and it seems like the Najin bot duo can't really seem to be able to escape from this. A beautifully executed play, and now they safely approach the dragon.
That was excellent. Mundo was in perfect position not to be able, Soraka can't even go for a flash silence to try to interrupt anything. And this is just what I was talking about 2 minutes ago. They're going to shove the lanes, they're going to wait for a misplay, Lee Sin will probably rotate down, they'll capture dragon. Because they can't be contested with the mechanics of their abilities at the early levels when Najin is already behind.
Is Swift coming in, but unfortunately that was the mirror image.
He doesn't like clones.
So he does not like clones.
No.
He is biased against clones. And but that was a relief though, because if that Lee Sin ult did not actually landed on the actual LeBlanc, she would definitely have been killed.
Yep. And that would then mid get shoved. Evelyn is forced into mid. And then now Evelyn is giving up pressure in bot lane. Now Lucian and Morgana, they're not there yet. And here we have a replay.
Here we have a replay of
absolute beautiful teleport again.
And Shy just coming in at the most optimal time with Lee Sin backing up with the safeguard, and with Space finishing off Prey, and just rotating so swiftly to the dragon.
Yep. And this is what I was talking about earlier with the attack on the summoners. So it's starting to show its head. And we see Ionian boots coming out of Soraka. So now I'm really curious about the runes and mastery setups. Perhaps she's running 5% CDR from the masteries, and then she'll complete Chalice with Ionian. And then she can finish off by building more tanky, more support as a utility.
Whereas Lulu and LeBlanc both have grails on, and Mundo, it seems like he's almost reached the Visage. Once he gets the Visage on, is he going to be able to slightly tilt the laning against Soraka to his favor?
Well, the issue with this lane is that they both innately build Chalice.
And they attack on Coco, but there's just not enough damage.
That culling did not hit anyone, and neither did that Q.
Unfortunate. I mean, this is some sort of a puzzling team fight. The skills seem to be missing. I mean,
it's a lot of skill shots missing.
Right.
In this game, it's a little bit uncharacteristic, and it might be because of the pressure.
Right. And especially considering that Swift, actually, before the game, he has said that he's really he really wants to win, because this is the first final that Swift and Coco has ever reached in their professional careers, and perhaps the nerves are getting the better of them. But CJ Frost, although we've seen that plethora of skill shots being missed, they seem to be continuing to widen the lead that they have.
Another thing
and the bind lands on Kind, and Swift coming in with safeguard, but Najin safely pull away, bringing down the bot tower.
And the ultimate comes out of Soraka there, and I think that was a little bit premature. I don't think that was absolutely necessary right there. Maybe she's thinking, I just cast it now, get it out of the way, because she's trying to plan some sort of timing on it, on a rotation that they're seeing, or like something that might be coming in the future, and the cooldown will be synchronized for that, as long as the heal goes off and they can continue to keep that lane a little bit shoved. So there may be something deeper to that, but if that's not the plan, then I'm not quite sure about that ultimate timing.
We'll have to see, but at this moment, we can't help but say that that is a bit of a puzzling choice. And Coco is now really just bullying LeBlanc, pushing the CS into the mid tower, and Madlife and Lee Sin attacking the enemy jungle. Perhaps they're looking for a way to execute a dive, but there's a lot of backup currently camped out in mid, but Lucian is farming so safely at the bot lane.
Right. And Lucian's getting free farm right now. And we see he is a little bit behind Caitlyn because Prey was outlaning him. They were getting outlaned, but then that lane swap came in, perfectly called by CJ, because it made so much sense. And again, going back to the mid dynamic, one thing that's important to note is Lulu has had boots over LeBlanc for quite a while, and this aids in the assistance of dodging skill shots, but also getting away from Evelynn, getting away from, chains and everything else, especially with her movement speed boosts, her barrier, her ultimate. Makes it that much harder to kill.
Seems like a wise choice, also considering that the Najin composition seems to be lacking in the hard CCs that can block down Lulu to kill her.
And the other issue...
Madlife lands the bind, and wow. That bind is just so long, the Morgana bind. It always surprises me of how long it's able to root the
It's quite long,
champion.
it's quite long, it's quite misunderstood. I think Morgana in coming tournaments, coming matches, she'll become a very common pick, because of her ability to disrupt a lot of stuff, because that's something that's taken for granted.
Right. We've seen, Madlife going in with the flash ultimate, and Lulu going in with the rapid growth, and Najin seemed to be caught here, but Coco took in too much damage. Shy came in with another perfectly timed teleport, and CJF Frost has pushed the mid tower away.
Right. And what they're trying to do here is they're trying to get all the summoners out and create a lot of pressure while capping mid tower. Because what do we notice? Dragon's up in like 50 seconds. So this is all, it's all for the future. That they don't need a kill there. You know what I mean? They don't even need the tower. They need the summoners down because they know they're ahead. And if this pick comp doesn't have disengage, doesn't have summoners positioning, etc., they're going to be superior again at the dragon fight, and that is a greater advantage than having summoners up on both teams.
CJF Frost coming in with a rather intricate gameplay and successful game plan, and successfully implementing it all throughout the process. 17 seconds until the dragon generates, and Lulu has built a Sheen.
Lulu's built a Sheen, and this is because it's common on Lulu to go into Lich Bane. And again, this comes back to comfort. They realize they're ahead in the sense that even if they're relatively close in terms of gold and game status, Najin needs to be more ahead due to the team comp, and this is...
The bind lands so perfectly! The mirror image does not really help the case, and Swift with the... My goodness, and Swift just came in perfectly from behind, kicking Evelynn away, and they're going to safely take the dragon away.
Right.
The global gold difference widens to 3,000 gold.
Right, and they know Soraka no ult, they know no summoners, dragon's up. So that's just, it's a little bizarre why Najin is so out of position when dragon timing is coming up, and Soraka's in mid without any ability to really utilize anything, and Lucian's there to stop it, and in the worst case scenario, Lucian just extends all his mana to keep the tower from going down. So it doesn't make a lot of sense. And LeBlanc to commit without actually kill potential, just having Athene's needlessly large rod Dorans against, an Athene's Lulu with all of her sustain, it doesn't really make sense. Yeah. So I feel like Najin is beginning to make a lot of uncharacteristic plays, and they're starting to fall apart.
I mean, a puzzling string of decisions. I mean, this wasn't the Najin that we saw against KT Bullets, where they perfectly executed every play, and they also had the strength and mentality to come back from a serious deficit. What are we seeing here in terms of just being a part of a professional team and performing actually this poorly, to be frank?
I think this may go down to the roster changes. There may be more going on. And then on top of that, they may be cracking under the pressure. that these are pros. They
and
know
the
how
bind lands on Limit, but Mad Life is being harassed. Oh, maybe he could have survived with a sliver of health, but couldn't.
and there's one of the picks.
But now it seems like Helios and Limit is caught. If the Glaring lands, Lee Sin lands a Q perfectly, and with Lulu's rapid growth coming in, it just seems like Najin actually is not in a bad composition at the moment. But the damage potential is so. But CJ just seems to have so much higher damage potential. Ooh. Got the kill. Is Shy going to be able to double kill on Limit? Coco escapes safely, but
Without Morgana there to provide the utility to the team to survive that burst, the Q is coming down, lowering the MR. It's not enough, and they were caught out of position. And we saw that the W landing from Lucian, that was a little bit deceptive, because then we see that Swift commits to his Q. And when that happens, then you're committed 100%. LeBlanc easily gets out of that, and then they turn the tides. So I believe that was just a misjudgment.
Right. I mean, Najin does manage to push out the mid tower, perhaps slightly closing the global goal difference. Kain using the aquatic prison to check whether the blue buff is still standing. And let's just look at this team fight again. Swift went in really well, and Coco's rapid growth seemed to have synchronized pretty well, but...
And that's the W I was talking about, that it creates the deception, and then Nanya just jukes out of that. Soraka's there. Maybe they weren't anticipating the heal?
Right.
That could have been, that was a turning factor.
And
Beautiful
despite
kiting.
how powerful Mundo is, I mean, Soraka...
Well, he's not complete yet. We're only 20 minutes in.
Right.
When this starts getting, bigger and bigger, now you see the Spirit Visage and the Warmogs. And this, again, is because Najin is periodic damage. So what do you build? Yes, you build MR, because it does help. Soraka has to land numerous Qs to, kind of slow you down. But the health, that's better than armor right now, because they're relying on all their magic damage. So you don't need to build armor. So this is an unconventional build coming out of Mundo, a little bit, strictly because of the team comps and the dynamics of it scaling forward.
And Lulu has completed the Lich Bane, and Lucian, Space seems to be opting for the Trinity Force build on Lucian. And also the thing that I'm noticing is the difference in the selection of gold items on the two different supports. Is this going to result into a difference in utility between the two supports in the mid game?
I believe so. And then also, now here we approach the mid game, which is the dynamic that I was talking about, and now we have Mundo shoving back top against Soraka, because Soraka can't actually shove it back that fast against him because of his passive HP gain. And yes, she can move into him, but she doesn't have Rylai's to create a slow. No Morellonomicons out of this team, which is a little bit bizarre, considering Lulu heal, Lucian heal, Mundo heal. Like, what are these builds? What is that needlessly large going to be completed into? DFG? I'm not totally sure.
And Limit seems to be going for the Rylai build. And the Helios and Nagne is caught here. Swift dodges in, and another teleport from Shy, and Helios... Oh, he flashes at the wall! Oh, an unfortunate mistake from Helios, and this game just seems to crumble to CJ's favor.
Yep. Now this is that problem where without Soraka there in position, without Evelyn to provide some sort of charge tankiness. Now you also notice Evelyn was forced into Aegis, which obviously is going to be completed into Solari, and that again comes back down to the dynamic of the team where they do have to get up there inside, CJ's face. And how do they do that? The W from Soraka to generate the armor buff, the heals, and then Evelyn has to provide the armor buff with Solari, and then her shield that she gets from Agony's Embrace.
Right. And it just seems like Najin's decisions are not looking very potent at the moment in terms of item choices, in terms of rotations. And one thing is that Shy's teleport just seems to be perfectly timed.
Shy is on point. He is reminding me of Looper's Mundo in this game. It's actually that impressive.
And Looper being one of the best teleport Mundos we have in Korea.
I would say Looper is probably the best teleport user in Korea right now, to be completely frank.
And Mundo just keeps getting tankier, and now that he's got the Warmogs, he's got the Spirit of Visage, and now with the he's building more armor, and it's going to. I wonder whether they'll. Oh my goodness! LeBlanc steals the dragon. Swift's smite did come down.
Sweet.
But wow, that was an impressive play from Nogday.
That was an extremely impressive play. But again, there's a lot of uncharacteristic slip-ups that are being made in this game mechanically from both sides. So it's starting to not get surprising. Right. It is surprising because of the level of play of these teams, but it's happening so often. You really wonder what's going on. Are they nervous?
Right. I mean, if you've seen this in your solo queue, you wouldn't be surprised. But to see this in a professional match, that's a little puzzling.
Right.
Perhaps the nerves got the better of them, or, I mean, we'll never know, but...
We won't know, but would nerves really be affecting a world-class team like CJ? It doesn't make sense.
And just look at that. Caitlyn did land an auto on Mundo, but it seems like Mundo is totally unaffected. It's the fact that the AD carry... Does the fact that the AD carry is Caitlyn instead of some more potent ones make this match even less favorable for Najin? Are they going to be able to kill Mundo at all? As you've mentioned, they don't have the Morello Nomicon.
They don't have it yet, so as the game progresses further, it's going to get a little weird. And now you notice Bork coming out of Lucian, and a lot of people are probably looking at this and going, what is that all about?
Right.
Well, Evelyn's diving on him, LeBlanc's diving on him. Lucian doesn't need to deal damage, he just needs to live. Steal that life, get that movement speed, steal that movement speed, get away from
it. Nami actually engages, but look at Mundo, he's a zombie. Mad Life actually took in a lot of damage, and Prey going in, and Space just survives with a sliver of health with the heal coming in, and Limit is caught in the jam, and Swift escapes. Swift actually couldn't escape, but CJ totally dominated this team fight.
Yep, absolutely.
And Mundo just landing the cleaver one after another. Will the bind land? It doesn't. But Shy, you can't kill Shy right now.
Nope. You can't. And this is the problem I was talking about. Where is Morelos?
Right.
How many heals just went off that battle?
Bind lands again. The cleaver lands. Oh, I think they're actually going to go for it.
Soraka is out of mana.
Soraka, my goodness, Space. But Space, though, Space seems to be surviving all the team fights, getting in his maximum damage. And CJ is just outplaying Najin on all ends.
Right. And now they're going to recall. Top lane is shoving a little bit. Top lane's about to get shoved back. We can see that from the mini-map, okay? And we know, they know where top lane's going to collide. It's probably going to collide where top red tier 1 tower is in a few minutes. Oh, replay, here we come again. So the LeBlanc comes in for the chain on Lucian to try to create the slow and not allow him to position. Lulu misses the ult, but that's okay. So now we see that Soraka has to be in the middle of the fight, but LeBlanc's already taken so much damage that she's forced out of position. Lee Sin lands the Q onto Caitlyn. Caitlyn's forced out, and then the backline is just free to deal all this damage because they don't have a way to shut down a charging Mundo because there's no Morelos yet. How do you... CJ feels like Soraka right now
exactly.
With all these heals.
And Mundo is just... Mundo is being the bad high school bully right now, shoving people on lockers and so on and so forth. And another thing I noticed in that team fight is the aggression that Mad Life is showing with his ultimate going in there, actually just almost sucking in that damage so that his dealers can be free.
Right. So now the lanes are just resetting, okay? And we take a look at the builds really quick. We see Merc Treads coming out of Mundo, pure MR, because that's all that team is. Who cares about Caitlyn? You have 4,000, 5,000 HP. Let her auto-attack you. You can deal with your passive armor. So now Soraka has Negatron. Now it's a little interesting. Will she complete Abyssal Scepter to help out her team with that, that nuke to 20 MR to everyone that's around her? Because Soraka is the core of the fight, especially with Solari's going off. So there's a lot of components that are coming out into the itemizations, but I still cannot get over, for the life of me, no Morelos.
Right. I mean, that's not even an indication of a Morello build.
Right.
It's just puzzling decisions one after another from Najin, just so uncharacteristic because they were so potent in the semifinals.
Right. Now, one thing that Najin does have going for them, and we saw that in a fight, prior, is inside the jungle, their team comp is favored. You know, Morgana cannot hit a multi-person ultimate inside there. Lee Sin's a little bit limited.
And the bind lands on Helios, and Shy just bullying and has no chance. And with the Lulu rapid growth synchronized with Shy just rushing in there, my goodness. They can't even damage CJ's health bars right now. It's almost full.
Right. And that's what I was talking about.
No Morellos.
No Morellos. And at this point, it's not just about Morellos. It's the item gap, and we were seeing this in Game 1. And now you have LeBlanc coming down here because what do? You know Baron's going to be given up. LeBlanc, Soraka can't contest it. You can't pray that you're going to steal Baron like you did Dragon.
Right, right.
So what do they have to do? They have to get some sort of ground. They have to try to save face, so they push bottom.
Oh my god. And Mundo just teleports to bot lane, preventing that from going down. Like CJ just seems to be taking everything they can, denying Najin everything they could.
Right. And hey, minions even get that.
Minions even get that. I mean, even CJ minions are stronger than Najin's minions right now. But in knowledge, I mean, why did now that you talk about the board? And let's look at this replay.
And here we go again. This just lands on Evelyn, and if Evelyn goes down, it's not just Evelyn going down. It's all of the HP from Agony's Embrace. It's it's the passive that she gives from her items, and then the nuke potential, the slow that she grants. So Evelyn going down like that, you can't have that. She's a core component of the team. I would actually say this is a little bit weird in the sense that Najin, they put their entire core into not their bot lane. It's a little right. It's a little weird, and the fact that they showed it so early.
Can't help but wonder. And talking about Blade of the Ruined King, a lot of AD carries actually that are doing well in the league, they seem to have some sort of a preference even of building the Blade of the Ruined King. For example, like we see Deft building the going with the Blade of the Ruined King build on Israel even. And it seems like nowadays with the compositions where they form a lot of assassination potential with a lot of champions coming in, the added utility of the BORK seem to be benefiting the AD carries a lot. Right, because the AD carries have basically conceded in the current meta. They don't deal that much damage, and there is a lot of tankiness inherently built, like Soraka even builds HP, Mundo builds HP, Shyvana, Renekton. So they don't need to deal as much damage because the damage can come from other facets. It's more about longevity right now in the team fights with how the meta is evolving. So the Blade of the Ruined King provides the utility, the life sap, the movement speed, and on Ezreal, Lucian, you have Arcane Shift, you have Lucian's E, you have all these things to get away. But we've seen Imp pick Misfortune, and in the past, you've had him pick Barrier. And I feel like Barrier is a very misunderstood summoner spell on, an AD carry right now. A lot of people just think innately that heal is better, but when facing assassins that can 100 to 0 you, like Imp in that one game was facing a Kha'Zix Nocturne, and I believe it's Jax, Samsung Ozone, a few weeks ago, and he had Barrier because Barrier can be activated at full HP. Heal cannot. Right. You can sate its effective HP. So there's a lot of stuff coming in like that. But other AD carries, Twitch, Kog'Maw, they get it because of their range, they're guaranteed to hit, life sap, attack speed, they benefit from that. So a lot of recent changes in the game and the team's difference in adaptability, and it seems like the team that adapts the quickest has the edge over the other team. Right. I mean, and talking about this thing, Samsung. Oh, now we go back into the match and we see Mundo has completed the Randuin. I mean, he's really not gonna die now. Yep. And now Mundo's basically saying, I'll match your slow with my slow. Right. Because I'm going to be in your face like you're trying to get to my AD carry. My AD carry. And now Soraka has completed the Rylai. I mean, we've seen that often with sometimes Soraka even flashing forward and turning on Star Call to engage, but are they really going to be able to do that at this point? Now the Rylai, now Najin here going for a dragon, and it seems like they're just going to get it for free. That's a little bizarre, but okay, so it looks like CJ's electing to just shove back mid and say, hey, we're going to siege you under tower. We have Morgana's poke, we have Lee Sin's Q poke, we have Mundo's poke, Lulu's culling. We can shove a minion wave back, and you're a team that does not want to have this happen. And Shy just tanking that tower says, I don't care. Yep. Even when the minions are ready to tank for him. Right. Oh my goodness. So they basically just did not, we don't care about the dragon. Right. We're going to push down your inhibitor. Right. CJ just so Baron. Confident now. Yeah, and they have Baron. So, they don't need Dragon. They traded Dragon for mid inhibitor.
Not a good trade.
Yep. And now they're just rotating onto the top lane. They don't even bother to recall.
I don't know if you noticed that there was 3 wards that seemed all similar timers, so miscommunication is definitely present right now.
Where it's some sort of like a tri-core CPU, you know, like more effective vision. I mean, I don't think so. And Shy, look at Shy. He's taking it.
Shy doesn't care.
Yep, he doesn't care, and he just absorbs the damage. And Mundo's, I mean, given that Mundo's ultimate.
Whoa!
That was.
And here it comes.
Nowhere.
They need the pick.
Approach. They need to win this team fight limit going in, but are they going to be able to kill Shy? My goodness, Mundo the zombie. You just can't kill Shy for the life of them.
They got what they needed, but it didn't seem like they trusted Limit to get the kill onto Lucian. It seemed like they were a little bit out of position, and because of that, they were a little too slow with reacting, and that just enabled CJ to get away. So CJ was a little bit lucky there, but does it matter? That tower is going to go down. I wouldn't even be surprised if, you know, Najin shows their face in the middle of the map or bottom of the map, you know, clearing the mini waves, if Shy just walks up and kills it.
Right. And also, Mundo didn't even bother to recall. It's a little scary thinking about how much gold Mundo's healing, holding right now, and what item that's going to turn into. Mundo having 900 gold, I think it seems to me that like he's going to build another cowl and move on to the Banshee's Veil, which would just really, really put the final nail in the coffin. I mean, he doesn't care. I mean, we see this so often from Shy. Like, once he gets the lead, he will not back down.
Right.
He's not going to give you any breathing room.
Mundo doesn't know what day of the week it is right now in bot lane.
Does not care. I mean, my goodness. Is Shy being... he does not... He just stepped on the mine. I mean, okay, like, bind me for 2 seconds. Why does it matter? And taking in a lot of damage.
Where's your Morellos?
Yep. Rapid growth because... Shy just harassing them so brutally. Limit down.
That is it.
The game seems to have tilted way beyond, and it's going to end here. And Najin Limit actually left the game. He's had enough.
Yep. But it's not necessarily bad manner. They do that in Korea.
Absolutely,
the game is conceded, right? So that's not bad manner or anything. The game is obviously over.
Right.
Helios can't do anything here.
CJ Entus picking up another win in set 2 of the NLB